analysis with over 70 years combined experience. This is the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast. NBA, some college, a little bit.
You're listening to the Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast, a proud member of the CLNS Media Network. The show is brought to you by PrizePicks, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today and use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, guys, how do we feel about the conclusion? And Bob, I'll start with you, of the finals.
There is a very worthy champion. However, I hate what I call loose ends.
Right.
And loose ends where there are a dubious call at the end of a game or something that, and of course, injury. The score was tied when he went down and out.
Right.
16-16. It was early, nothing established except it looked like it was going to be a good game. And the better team obviously that won 68 games and did what it did, you can say won, fine. But they weren't that much better. We found that out. And if they went 101 games, it might be a one-game series. So, so I'm not going to I don't want to take anything away from Oklahoma City, but in the back of their minds, they should be happy about they got lucky. And a little bit. We'll never know. We'll never know what was going to happen without Halliburton. But overall, I'll just go off right quickly. I think the playoffs were a smashing success artistically. I don't care about ratings. I can't get in the heads of people that don't watch because they don't like or don't relate to what's on the front of a jersey. Right. I can't get that. I don't care. All I know is that I have been watching these games from the very beginning since April 19th, I believe it was, and I've enjoyed in so many games between so many different teams, and I think it's been a very, very good artistic success for the league. And they have a worthy champion, and every way from the general manager down. I won't say the owner only because he stole that team from Seattle, but and I'm a little bit upset about that. But from that point on, Sam Presti, Emerson College, Mark Dagno, Leominster, Mass. So around here we have a little stake in this thing. So isn't that nice?
No doubt. I'll say this. I don't know if I was super excited going in. I was like, all right, it'd be cool to see Steph or LeBron get one final run at this thing.
Right.
But you know what? It is kind of fun to see these, as Adam Silver said last night afterwards, like this new generation of stars and to see them on the biggest stage. And I know like people are killing, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for being like a foul merchant. Like, listen, whatever works. And last night, I don't think it was that. I mean, he was making plays. He was making plays. Right.
That's so bogus, Jeff. I couldn't go there for 1 second. People don't know. Listen, I'm telling you, you go back 16 years, Sports Illustrated story, a pictorial essay, not pictorial, an artistic essay in which Frank Ramsey was demonstrating how to draw fouls. And I'm sure Red loved that. But he did. Frank DeFord, I believe, wrote the story. And I'm not sure about that, but I think he did. Anyway, drawing fouls is legit. It's an art. It's up to the referees to make the decision.
James Harden has made a career off this, right. Entire career.
It's funny. I never thought about it. And what's on these terms? You know who was very good at drawing fouls, and people don't realize. And I honestly remember people at practice, at the Celtics practice, would have fun teasing him about his style of falling backwards after taking a jump shot in hopes of drawing a foul. You'll never guess who it was. Don Nelson. But he knew every trick on defense, tugging pants and locking arms, and he knew everything on both sides of the ball. Well, folks, this is nothing new. This is biblical here. Nothing new under the sun. And if a guy can get away with it and the referees don't know what they're doing, too bad. Too bad.
I think it's safe to say that if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, this thing goes down to the wire, and we're saying it was a really good series.
Well, I'm saying it was a good series anyway, but you're
right.
I'm going to say right. As I say, too bad there's a loose end. It's not even fair to Oklahoma City. They were better. We know that, and I think Indiana was totally worthy as well. I mean, they had won I know people were rating was just the biggest upset of all time. Not nonsense, and not the team that. Hey, if this series were played in November, it would have been. But Jeff, and we all know this team since the beginning of January has been a really good basketball team.
I mean, the other thing is usually Halliburton is pretty chill in terms of his offensive game early, right? He doesn't usually look for it.
Yes.
He had 9 points in the first like 6-7 minutes?
Yes, he did.
Who's to say this wasn't going to be a special Halliburton performance last night in which Indiana is not up a point at half, but maybe they're up 7 or 8. And then you got OKC on their heels, and then they start to worry and they play. It's a different ball game if you're down, 8, 9, 10 points at half with that pressure on you. So I think, again, I'm not sure Indiana wins.
No, none of us will never know. Right. But I think your premise is, your analysis is correct. It would have been more interesting. It's too bad. But all right, we don't beat that thing to death. It happened, and we hope he can recuperate. But how about the fact that it's Achilles? What if they ran a video side by side of Tatum's play and his play? They're eerily reminiscent, right down to the reaction, knowing they each knew they were very seriously wounded. They each knew it, and
right on the push off.
Amazing, both going head first, and on the same side of the court, almost same within 5 feet maybe of each other where they went down. So that's eerie, really eerie.
Here's an interesting stat: in the NBA's 74 seasons, there have been 44 known cases of players tearing their Achilles tendons.
Oh, wow!
10 are currently active players. So a quarter of that is recent. You mentioned Halliburton, you mentioned Tatum, you mentioned Lillard. Jeff, is there a theme here in that players are playing all year round? They go into June in the playoffs, they play in the Olympics, they work out all summer. Is there something going on here?
Well, yeah, I think it is. Probably a combination of things. You probably can't point to one thing specifically, but I think it is. Some of them don't let their bodies heal as much in the summer. They're working out with workout guys, with trainers. Mm-hmm. I think also the game it has changed. I mean, obviously the athleticism, the Euro steps, some of the things that are done in the game today just weren't done 20 and 30 and 40 years ago. And Bob can attest to that.
Yeah,
a lot better than I can. But the game has changed so much in terms of the jumping, the athleticism, the in the weight room, some of those things, and some of it's for the better, obviously. But I think obviously you're seeing more injuries like this over the last few years.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's analogous to baseball with the Tommy John surgeries and the injuries. The good thing about it, though, is at least medical science. Once upon a time, it was a death sentence, and it is no longer a death sentence. And that's because of advanced, as in so many areas of the human anatomy, so the advances of medical science enable athletes to recover from injuries that would have, been much more serious and career-threatening many, many years ago. I remember Lucius Jackson. People don't remember him.
I do.
He was a monster power forward for the 66, 67 Sixers, starting forward along with Chet Walker. A really good player. I can still see a play he made in Game 5 when they wiped out the Celtics in that year, and which he blocked the shot. I think it was Sam, and then went down and dunked him. Oh my God! It was big. Anyway, he tore his Achilles and he was done. He was done, and that was 1967, of course. But now look at what Durant has been able to do at his age to come back, and presumably Tatum will come back and be okay. But it's interesting point you raised, Guy. I like that number you unearthed for us. That's very, very good.
AI, man.
Hey, speaking of game grind, Guy, I was looking at this the other day, and this kind of fits into the discussion peripherally, and that is each team was playing in its 23rd postseason game last night. And they each played 22 leading up, and 23 games is 28% of a full season extra that those teams are playing. 28%. I just did the calculator. And so that's not Bob Ryan arithmetic.
So hey Bob, would you condense the season? Obviously, then the record and all that are going to change, and nobody.
I'm an advocate. Yes, I'm an advocate of a reduced season. 70 is the lowest I'd go, but if you want to go 75 or whatever, I don't. Yes, I am, and because you got this monstrously long playoffs, with 4 rounds, and same in hockey. You have to win 16 games in both sports. By the way, hockey keeps telling us Stanley Cup's the hardest trophy to win. Why is it harder than winning an NBA title? Other than the fact that hockey is a different kind of physical grind, maybe.
Right.
But you still have to win 16 games in competition. So I'm not taking that lightly.
Hey Bob, just look at their teeth. Just look at their teeth.
Okay. All right. Touche. Next question.
How do we feel about Shea as a premier player in the league? Is he a star? He is a finals MVP. But Jeff, I'll start with you. Is he a star? Is he a Jokic? Is he a LeBron? Is he that guy?
He's just not as sexy to watch, right? That's the difference is you watch him and it's not, again, it's not LeBron with the unbelievable passing and the incredible athleticism where he's playing over the rim, and he doesn't have the personality of LeBron. He's not the Joker in terms of, again, making people better the way Joker does at that position. Obviously, he can step out and stretch it and you just look at Joker and you're like, wow, I can't believe he can do all those things at his size. Shea is very understated in what he does, how he does it, and then how he talks about doing it. So, he's in Oklahoma City in a small market.
There's 2 separate questions always. One is rating guys or evaluating guys or placing guys in context as they play in their time. And then we can have the parlor discussion, the barroom discussion about all time. Oh, fine. Okay. It's too early to discuss that one for him. Too early. Okay. Right now, I have a very simple question, guys. If they put all the guards in the league on the open market, who would go first? I think it was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. All the guards in the league right now.
Minnesota. What about what's his name in Minnesota? Is he a guard or a swinger?
Somebody might take it because it was
somebody. And somebody might. I want this guy's no maintenance.
Well, nobody today is going to take anybody over him because he just won a title.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So nobody's taking anybody over him in the league. Maybe they take Joker over him.
No, I'm talking about guards.
Right. I know.
Guard.
Yeah. Guard. No. I don't think you can make a case for anybody going over Shea now.
I mean, Ant-Man is on the way. I won't say he's trouble, but there's a little
higher maintenance.
There's
higher maintenance.
There's edge to him, and there's some maintenance. As far as we know, this guy is no maintenance, and so that's even another thing in his favor. It's just so he's riding high now, and he's still, what is he? How old is he? 25, 6? Anyway, and what a trade that was.
Still young. He's right in his prime. He's right in his prime.
Right.
The big question is, can Sam Presti keep this group together long enough? We said it last year with Boston, and look at how quickly it changed. But look, it changes so quickly. Again, what do we have? 7 different teams in the last 7 years that have won it?
Yeah, and I love the number. We have 9 champions in the Adam Silver era, and David Stern in 30 years had 8. And
I have an off the topic question, Gary, for Bob. Well, this may transition a little bit, and I'm not sure you're ready to transition out of this into Kevin Durant.
It's fine.
But what would Adam Silver? What would David Stern have done if the Kevin Durant trade, if he were commissioner, and the Kevin Durant trade leaked out on the afternoon of Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
He would have null and void.
I don't know. That's a good hypothetical. I don't know. I think he'd roll with the punch. No, you don't think so?
He'd say, I'll okay it if he goes to New York.
Right. I think he would have been pissed.
Sure.
Unless it was run by him first.
Yeah.
And then he might have been okay with it. Well, and nothing can be kept a secret these days, right? That's the hard part. You're not keeping it a secret till today, regardless. But that trade, it was interesting how it broke as Kevin Durant was at this Fanatics Fest I don't know if you guys saw that, but
I didn't see that.
So Fanatics is doing this big, it's like a memorabilia thing where basically all the top, I mean, Brady was there, Manning was there, KD was on stage being interviewed by, I think, Taylor Rooks when it broke. Now, I think he knew about it before he got on stage. I think either he knew 100% or Rich Kleiman, his agent, probably told him, hey, Kevin, here's the deal. Yeah. This is damn close. Probably going to happen. Well, may happen while you're up there. May happen in a couple hours. But it's basically
welcome to 2025. And that's all. It's like once upon a time, a player, an excellent player, one of my all-time favorite players and people in this league, found out he was traded when a writer came up to him. He was sitting in his car, Mo Cheeks. That's how he found out he was traded. So there's always a million stories about trades and stuff. Couple things that I want to, as we wrap up the Game 7 and the series. A couple of themes that we had were played out once again last night. It seems that there were two things that we harped upon as the X factors, the X and Y factors nightly in this series. One was turnovers. Which team was going to turn it over too much and be hurt? And last night, of course, the answer was Indiana. Oklahoma City put that vaunted defense on them. The same vaunted defense that Indiana put on them in Game 6. I remember, I think I told you guys, I made a note in Game 6 that as Game 6 was going on, I said it looked like an NCAA 116 game in the third quarter. And that's how badly Indiana was dominating them. But last night, it never got to that level, but they certainly took the game away from them in the third quarter. Okay. At turnover. The other thing was who's going to come off the bench and be a factor and good, small or big. And was it somebody you wouldn't be expecting? Well, there wasn't anybody had a totally outsized effect on the game, but here's a guy that had an effect on the game that you would have won the pool if you had that one. Carson Wallace. He had a role. He had an important strategic role in that game last night. And of course, Caruso immediately early on had those back-to-back threes at a point when it kind of calmed them down, if you remember, in the first quarter. But you expect that from Alex Caruso, who, by the way, you think that people are now okay with him, that they've gotten used to the accountant look, and the headband and the bald head, and the fact that he's this pasty-faced white guy. And by the way, he is athletic and he can play. I know he won me over. I was originally a skeptic. I said, come on. Well, guess what? He is a useful player.
Me too. And I saw him coming out of Texas A&M, and early in his NBA career, I didn't ever think he'd be this good defensively. I thought he'd be an above-average defender. They have three elite defenders on the perimeter. Lou Dort, obviously, was like a free safety back there. Casey Wallace, as you mentioned, and Alex Caruso. They're three of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
So those two themes held up throughout the entire finals, and that just shows you.
Okay, we'll get back to Bob and Jeff in just a minute. I know they're on a roll, but they'll take a breather. PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. And PrizePicks has invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out of your lineup when it isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. And PrizePicks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. So, every Tuesday, PrizePicks will discount several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. So remember that and check that out. So what are we looking at this week? Ohtani, 3 or more RBIs, pick more or less. Aaron Judge, 2 or more home runs, more or less. Make your pick. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. We got to talk about our TJ. And there was a point in this game when he was the entire story. He helped them alive. He scored 12 straight points for them at one point, TJ McConnell. And finally,
And I got a little digression, but I want to throw it in because it jumped out at me. And I may be the only person on this earth out of 7 billion people that cares about this or that can relate this story to you. But I'm proud and happy to do so. There's a quote that was in the Wall Street Journal feature on him. And they were talking about how hard he plays. And he was talking about how hard he plays and how it helps. All right. And he said, playing is a direct quote. Playing hard is a skill. If it wasn't, everyone would do it. Okay. Just so happens that roughly 51 years ago, I don't know if it was 72 or 73, I was present for a game in which the Boston Celtics went to the Cap Center and beat the Baltimore Bullets with Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes. And Dave Cowens had 28 rebounds in that game against Elvin Hayes and Wes Unseld. So after the game, I said to Gene Shue, coach of the Bullets, what would happen or could it be if Kareem or Bob Lanier, I cited those two, played as hard as Dave Cowens? And Gene Shue's reply, and it's echoed in my head for 50 plus years. Are you ready? His direct quote is, couldn't happen, not possible. Hustle is part of ability, unquote. Now that is exactly what TJ McConnell just said in reference to his game, that I just paired it up with the dick. Isn't that amazing that 50 years apart, that I think that's the same concept, right?
What is amazing to me is that Bob Ryan recalled it and still has it. Okay.
It's one of my favorite anecdotes, because, I'm a Cowan scholar. So, sure. I like them self-proclaimed, of course, but I don't know. I think anybody cares more about Cowens than I do in the media. And talked to him the other day, by the way, but that's another story. So anyway, he's doing fine up in Maine. So anyway, but I just thought the pairing of the concept, and of course, one of them is 6'1", the other 6'8.5", but the fact is that line, it just echoed, it jumped right out at me when I saw this from McConnell. Gene Shue's declaration, hustle is part of ability. Never heard anyone else say that, Jeff or Gary.
No, it's true.
It's
actually true.
What a wonderful concept. Gene Shue was always very interesting to talk to. We had some wonderful people. Yeah, we really did. I'm not saying we don't have some wonderful people now, but I was so blessed to be covered.
No, we're going to try to get TJ McConnell on here in a few weeks because he's such a throwback player and a person, not just on the court, but obviously Halliburton goes down and TJ obviously made some careless turnovers throughout the game, but he was forced. I mean, listen, he was forced to do probably more than he wanted to do at that point.
Yeah.
He had to carry him. He had
to. One in particular, he got himself trapped in that no man's land near midcourt, and then the out of bounds in midcourt and two guys on him and 2 or 3, he couldn't get a pass off. He knows better than that, but he didn't have help either. I mean, Where was Aaron Nesmith? Where was Miles Turner last night? Oh, no, that was,
I mean, Mathurin came out late. Mathurin made a push late, but for the most part, it was like the TJ McConnell show to keep him in the game. And that's not, listen, I love TJ, but you can't put all that on him.
A couple more observations. That each of OKC's 2 big men gave you a glimpse of, they showed you their best stuff. Holmgren had an excellent game. Yep. Always. He always has a good defensive game, doesn't he? I mean, he always seems to have it. He's always a factor on defense, always. The offense that comes and goes, it depends. But he was an excellent player last night. And Hartenstein, who I've come to really, really enjoy, how about that great play made that gone to the basket in the first half when he ended off half of North America and scored that basket. But his passing and they complement with an E meant each other. And you hope this team can stay together, but the way the financial world is now, who knows? But I hope. So I say to the OKC fan, hope you savored it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some good games taped. Because you don't know for sure what's going to happen. But you guys they gave you a hell of a year. I hope you appreciate it.
All right, we'll get back to the guys in just a minute. But for those of you listening to this show, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, like and leave a review. And for those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtic content. Also, please make sure to turn on your notifications so the instant a new video drops, you will know about it. All right, let's get back to Bob and Jeff. Okay, guys, as we wrap it up, your thoughts on Kevin Durant going to Houston. Jeff, we'll start with you.
So at first I looked at it and I'm like, okay, KD for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 1 pick this year, number 10 overall, and some second rounders that I'm not even worried about those. And I'm looking, I'm like, all right, that's pretty fair. I mean, KD's going to be 37 years old, right? Like, they're not going to get a major haul that you would have got out of KD 4 or 5 years ago. They got a good young player in Jalen Green, who's not going to be a superstar, but he could be a good piece. Dylan Brooks, tough, hard-nosed. We've seen what he can do, the number 10 pick. And then the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, all right, Jalen Green's contract, man, it's pretty hefty. It's in that $35 million range. I mean, I think ultimately it comes down to, is KD going to be healthy enough? I assume they're going to sign him a 2-year deal that'll take him to 39 years old. They're not getting him for 1 year, which is what he's got left in his contract. So it's health of KD, number one. But then I looked at it, guys, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, the Phoenix Suns GM, guys, I don't know if you guys even know this. The Phoenix Suns general manager right now is somebody named Brian Gregory. Okay? Brian Gregory was years ago on Tom Izzo's staff at Michigan State. That's why he's the general manager right now, because Matt Ishbia,
owner is a Michigan State guy.
Correct. He was a walk-on at Michigan State for Izzo. Brian Gregory was the head coach at Dayton for a while, then went to Georgia Tech, got fired at Georgia Tech, got a job at South Florida right away, and then was horrible at South Florida and got fired there a couple of years ago, and just came on, never been in the NBA, ever been in the NBA, got hired about a year ago as like a scout or something, and then he gets the GM job about a month ago, and he orchestrates this trade, and it's just fascinating to me. Again, you look at it and you're like, why? Why would you hire this guy? Like, I like Brian Gregory as a person, but like, it just shows you that sometimes like these owners have no clue what they're doing. And I'm not saying that Brian Gregory got hosed and Phoenix got completely hosed on this thing, but if KD stays healthy for 3 years, they probably got hosed.
Right. Okay. The answer to your question, I think we've already answered it. The Michigan State, the Spartan brotherhood is it leading? Has to be. Okay. End of story. So in that regard, I mean, it's Michigan State brotherhood. Okay. When I first saw this yesterday, my first reaction, which apparently appears to have been at variance with 99% of the cognoscenti, in which I am including you. Wow, they did great, because Jalen Green is good and he's only going to get better. I know this is a contract. I didn't take into consideration the contract. Okay, Jeff, I was only thinking about basketball. On a basketball term, Jalen Green's good. I know you like them. Yes. And Dylan Brooks, he's a pain in the ass, but if he's your pain in the ass, that's okay. And he's what he is. He's a tough-nosed guy. He'll give you 15 points a game, 14 actually last year. And all right, fine. And I'm not sure that and what did Kevin Durant do for Phoenix other than put up some numbers? Nothing. So I think they did damn well. And then they throw in the number 10 pick. Could be nothing. Could be lucky. They could. I think they did fine. I think it was. I'm sticking with that. Now, come see me in January when the Rockets are running away with the West. Okay, but right now, I think that was a fair return, and I think it was a lot better than some other trades of that nature we've seen.
Well, I mean, the Rockets can run away with the West, but the fact is,
and one other thing, I thought that to get Durant, we wanted to add on. They subtracted 2 useful players. Now that Jeff, there's a lot of pressure on Amen Thompson now, isn't there?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
We like him. We all like him, but
you know who the key is going to be? Can they Jabari Smith or Reed Shepard? Can one of those guys? One of those guys kind of jump out? Because they're going to need a 5th guy right now, right? You got Sengun, KD, Fred VanVleet.
I like VanVleet. I've always liked VanVleet
and Thompson.
But I think they shredded their depth, and good luck to them. So both ways, I thought this is a very fair deal for Phoenix. And then you can You can come back at me later. It's fine.
All right, sorry, I got distracted. Kids are driving me crazy on the text.
Hey, Rob, guess what Gary's got going on tonight?
Tell me.
Go ahead, Gary.
I have 14 or 15 teenage girls coming over for a sleepover for a birthday party.
A birthday party.
You got any advice, Bob? Bob, you got any advice for him?
No, I never got myself involved in anything like that. So
Bob made it sure he was on the road for any of those sleepovers.
I'm in the middle of it. And I am right in the middle of
This
it.
is what Bob would say. Hey, Elaine, I got a big feature story I got to go out for tonight.
That's not happening.
No, that's funny.
All right, guys, any final thoughts before I go get ready for the invasion?
No, just that.
Stay out of the drama. Stay out of the drama. That's what I would say.
For the wrap on other that the draft, I'm trying to do some homework, and I don't know 3 players in the draft. Seriously,
we're gonna go through it all.
Next episode, I know Flagg and the 2 guys from Rutgers,
Ace Bailey's got some major red flags.
I want to know how 2 guys from Rutgers could be in the top 10 and they didn't even break 500.
I'll leave you with this. All right, Bob. I just want. Did we talk about Ace Bailey? Have we talked about how his agent asked me for money for an interview?
No.
Oh, we haven't.
I know he's kissing people off all over the world, but I didn't know you were among them.
All right. We're gonna end with this. I just want Bob's reaction. I'll make it quick. I promise. So, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper both going to Rutgers this past year, and before the season, I had heard he's got this small-time agent, Omar Cooper, whose one of his sons still plays in college basketball. The other son played at Auburn and is playing overseas or in the G League or something right now. So I knew I'd already heard that they weren't doing interviews on camera without getting money, getting some compensation. So I called them before the season, kind of played dumb. Hey, Omar, Jeff Goodman, really looking to get with Ace Bailey for a little bit on camera, nothing extensive, 15 minutes, something like that. And, I'll do what I do, which is make the kids look good, loosen them up, have fun. It'll be good for their brand, whatever. Well, basically, no, he's not doing it without getting compensated. I'm like, and I knew it was coming. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I've been doing this 25 years. I'm not paying for an interview. And he said, well, you're making money off him. I said, yeah, sure, whatever. But, I'll give you the $10 that we'll make on YouTube from doing this interview. You can have it. You can have whatever the proceeds are. It'll probably be, I don't know, $8, $10. Maybe it'll get you a Big Mac at McDonald's, something like that. You can have it. Don't worry. You got it. So anyway, that's my story of the first player asking for money for an interview. That's the first time it ever happened.
And it won't be the
last.
No, it will not be the last. He's
skipping all workouts, right?
Yeah, he won't work out for Philly. Again, this is what happens when you have probably a small-time agent who doesn't really understand, doesn't have the leverage, and it'll be interesting to see if he does slide. Super talented, super talented, but also got a lot of grown up to do in his decision-making on the court. Is a tough shot maker, but doesn't always have to be a tough shot taker, if you know what I mean.
And that'll be coming up at the end of the week. And you can, of course, hear what Jeff and Bob have to say about the draft right here on the CLNS Media Network. Gents, we'll talk to you soon. You've been brought to you by CLNS Media Network and by PrizePicks, North America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download today and use code CLNS to get $50 when you play 5. PrizePicks, run your game.